All right, today we are back in the field. We had to come visit Golden Bike Shop. They got a few bikes in here that I see all the time on the trails. And what other better place to go to than the actual place that sells them? So this is a dealer of those three bikes that I always see. And I wanted to go in here and ask him, why do you think you see so many bikes on the trail from these brands? Now this is unrehearsed, unscripted. They don't even know I'm coming in here, so I'm hoping they're not too busy to talk to us. But we're gonna go in here and try to at least. All right, we are here at Golden Bike Shop and we got Kevin here. And a lot of you think I don't like expensive bikes, which I do. I just try to stay in my lane because I know nothing about none of this stuff. So I'm not gonna act like I do. So I got the professional Kevin here that knows all about it, and he'll let you know why it's worth buying this. I specifically came here because every time I'm out on the trail, I see Santa Cruz, Pivot, and Yeti all over the trails. And today I wanted to come here and talk to the person who sells them and who's putting a lot of those bikes on the trails. But first of all, I want to know how long you've been here, because I've been to, what's that place called with the wine on tap? That place down the road where you can just get wine on tap.
Golden Mill?
Yeah, Golden Mill. I've been there a few times, and when I walk down the street, I always pass this bike shop. Never came in, and this is the first time I've come in here, and it's pretty cool.
I think I've been here for about 4 years. I made the transition during COVID in 2020. I was doing something else back then that wasn't awesome, and I left that and started working actually at Wheat Ridge Cyclery first, salesperson, and then I came over here about a year later. So been here since 2021, I guess. So 4 years. Was just salesperson here for a bit, and now general manager.
But the next thing I want to know is, why do you think they choose specifically Santa Cruz, Yeti, and Pivot?
There's nothing wrong with your entry-level mountain bikes that you see out there from the bigger box brands and stuff like that. In terms of getting on trail, riding bikes, understanding how it works, and getting better at it, they all deliver that ability. I think our customers, our community here is in a world where they're ready for the next level of performance. And the reason we believe these brands do that better than some of the bigger box direct-to-consumer styles is how they do their back-end engineering, manufacturing, and then just their overall sales kind of style to us. The biggest piece is your frame, your carbon layup, and how they're doing it. And then your linkage, so your engineering, your geometry. I mean, if you start there and you look at like owning factories, where these bikes come from, who makes them, and who has overall say of how this stuff is created. These bespoke brands that, they're huge now because of the popularity of the sport, but if you boil it down to Yeti and Pivot and Santa Cruz, these are relatively small companies. Like Yeti's just down the road, they've got maybe a couple 100 or so employees, kind of give or take. So they're not global dominators like your big box brands. So their time and attention and their quality control, I think, just exceeds that of what a higher output company can do. We've had the opportunity to go to Pivot a few times and go through their QC area and like see some of the tools they use. They have these like cool lasers that they use for the rear end triangle.
In essence, a sophisticated heat beam, which we called a laser.
That like makes sure that their frame is straight, and if it's off by a millimeter or whatever, it gets redone and rescrapped and redone so that it is perfect. So they're just putting that time and attention into each individual bike that they push out, and then their carbon layup, like they create their design, they create their molds, they own their factories and where they're coming from, and they have final say of this product that is then getting shipped to them. They're not just buying a carbon frame from a manufacturer with no oversight of how it is created, kind of thing. But when you get to the level where you can feel the difference between components, some stuff just doesn't cut it for you anymore. Like, we live in a world where these people take this hobby seriously, and they really enjoy the progression of it and how good it feels. And like, once you get that addiction to something feeling better than something else, you can't stop chasing it, and you're looking for the next best product. And these guys are doing the same thing, but from the engineering side.
I've been looking at all these bikes right here, and they're all carbon. And I don't know if that's because they only make carbon or you only sell carbon. What's going on with that? Because I don't think I see anything aluminum except the e-bikes.
At this point in our of Pivot, Yeti, and Santa Cruz, there are no more production aluminum full suspension analog bikes. Santa Cruz did just launch their new Vala with an aluminum frame this year, which has been great. It's a fairly attractive price point for a full suspension, full powered e-bike. And they were the last ones to get rid of their aluminum frames. They had high towers and chameleon, so full suspension and hardtails. That kind of went away in 2023. Basically what we kind of heard was the price delta wasn't big enough to convince people one way or the other. So like for them to manufacture an aluminum frame versus a carbon frame wasn't exceptionally cheaper. And then when you look at a consumer facing a choice of a bike that's aluminum versus carbon, everything else is the same, and the delta is only about $800. Most of them are going to be convinced to go to what is perceived as the higher quality frame, which is carbon. There are different ride qualities, there are different strength, weaknesses, and stuff like that. So there's definitely a conversation to be had there about how you ride your bike, how you treat your bike, and what works best for you. In this world, in these guys' categories, in their vision, carbon is lighter, stiffer, a higher performing, more trail dampening version of material than aluminum. People can feel different about that. In my personal experience, I haven't ridden enough aluminum bikes to compare it to, but I have not had a ton of issues breaking carbon bikes. For me, I wouldn't choose an aluminum bike over a carbon bike in this world at this point, after riding what I've ridden and feeling what I've felt. But we do still have people who have aluminum bikes and they like it and they wouldn't change it. So it's an interesting category to think about, I guess.
Yeah. So if I was a customer coming in here and I said, I want to step my game up, I'm tired of the budget bikes and the 40-pound bikes, and it's not even an e-bike, what would you say the best from each brand, Santa Cruz, Yeti, and Pivot, which three pretty much mid-travel bikes would you say will work best for somebody like me?
We're in a beautiful world where there is a bike for every trail, every occasion, every style. So every bike brand has a different personality, their linkage design, their suspension, every little geo thing that they do delivers a ride style that's unique to their brand. So we would figure out where you like to ride, how you like to ride. Do you like to jump? Do you like to plow? Do you like to go fast? Do you like to pedal? And there's going to be an answer there for you from each brand, and they all do things a little bit differently. In our experience, in my personal opinion, I find Pivot to be a little bit more playful, snappy, agile, really easy to unweight, and very pedal efficient with their DW link. Santa Cruz, when I'm ready to have some fun and plow through some chunder and just erase trail and erase mistakes, that VPP linkage just demolishes bumps and it feels really good. And then when it's time to go fast, there's Yeti, race driven, man. Those guys know how to make a fast bike. It's smooth. The faster you go, the smoother it becomes. So depending on how you want to ride that day and what you want your experience to be like, there's a decision to be made in a brand for you, and that's why we carry more than one, to give everybody the perfect opportunity to pick the perfect bike for you.
I swear, every time I go out on the trails, I see this one particular brand, and I want to go get this bike if you have it in stock. And I want to know how you would sell me this bike. Sure. I want to know, what would you say to convince me that I need to buy this bike? All right, so right here, we got the Pivot Switchblade, and I hear so many great things about this. And honestly, I don't think I've ever heard a negative thing about Pivot, if my memory serves me correctly. If I came in here and they were like, hey, you get to choose one bike, I would basically choose this one just because of how many people I see riding it. And it looks good, I'm not gonna lie. But I wanna know, if I was in here trying to buy this bike and I couldn't make my mind up, what do you think some things that you could say to send me over the edge?
You would be comparing this bike with Yeti's SB140 and Santa Cruz's Hightower. This is your kind of all-around do everything well trail bike. 142 travel rear, 160 front, pretty similar to both of the other bikes as well. If this is the right bike for you, it's because you value what it delivers in its geometry. What Pivot does that's a little bit unique compared to the other two versions, their rear end, the rear triangle, is short, 430 millimeters, which is about 5 to 7 to 10 mil shorter than the other competitors. With this 75-degree seat tube angle, which is a little bit slacker than average, most are a little bit steeper, puts your rider weight over this rear tire. They also do super boost spacing, so a stronger rear wheel tucked into the frame with rider weight over the rear tires. So when you pedal, when you hit the crank, you're getting more traction on that rear wheel, you get more engagement, and when you're technically ascending obstacles, it puts you in a really good upright position where you're sitting, pedaling, and you have a lot of traction on the rear. So it just takes a little bit of the bite off of getting up hills around here without sacrificing much coming downhill. And I think this bike just really delivers that ability to get up and down trails with ease and accuracy, if that is your desired ride style.
That's interesting you said, because mentioned a couple things that I like a lot. So it's playful. It's a good traction in the rear because I like technical climb. I mean, I don't like climbing, but I like technical sections where I got to get through it and try to get through these obstacles and just test my climbing ability. But I like the shorter chainstays because I do a lot of wheelies on my bike. And just to be able to have that shorter chainstay makes the bike more playful for sure. Everything you just mentioned, if I had $9,000, I'd be sold because I feel like it's the best of every world from how you just described this. It's all these bikes kind of meshed into one. I might be wrong, but from what you said, I think this is the most all-around capable bike depending on how you like to ride. But if you're up in the air about it, this is that great middle ground.
If those are the key characteristics you're after for a bike, then yeah, I would be like, this is perfect. If you're somebody that just wants to smash through rock gardens and jump off of stuff, then I would maybe talk to you a little bit more about Santa Cruz. If you're somebody who's looking to do some enduro races, maybe session series kind of stuff this year, and you really want to up the speed of things, we might look at Yeti.
So you keep selling me on this bike because from what you just said again, it sounds like this bike would have the best chance of keeping me out of the hospital too. All right, now the $1 million question is about the bike prices. Now, I like I said, I like to stay in my lane. I talk about what I know, what I think I know about, which is budget bikes because it's simple. All you need to know is the specs. You don't really need to know a ton of stuff. But with these bikes, you got to know a lot of different things. With all that being said, I want to know what benefits do you see personally from having a more higher end bike?
For sure. I think there's two categories. There's performance and there's durability. And not necessarily performance of the components, but your performance on the bike and then the durability of the actual components. Now, there are some really cheap components that are unbreakable versus some really expensive components that break if you look at them wrong. So there's a weird scale there for sure. However, for performance wise, if your bike is lighter and your bike has the right flex or stiffness to deliver what you're looking to get out of your trail ride specifically versus a bike that's a little sloppy or noisy or clunky or heavy, you're just going to ride better if it's nicer componentry. Performance wise or durability wise, a lot of the entry-level stuff works for a while, but it's either not serviceable or it just breaks easier because it's made of cheaper components or materials or something like that. I think for our category, the reason these bikes are expensive is a relative term, we should say. It's expensive to some people, but not to everybody. The reason we sell this stuff here versus some of those other budget brands is driven by two factors. A, our community, our consumer is looking for these bikes. They come in asking for them. They don't come in asking for $2,200 bikes because they know they want the higher performing bike because it's going to work well, it's going to be easy to service, and it's just going to perform better and to deliver the experience that they're having. The community out here, it's important to them. This is people's escape. This is what they're doing when they're not at work, when they're not with their family, or sometimes they are with their family, and they want it to be good. They're professionals at what they do in life, and then they get onto this and they put the same amount of effort and attention into their bike ride as they do their career and their family and stuff. So they want it to work well, and they want it to be the nice stuff because a carbon bar versus an aluminum bar takes trail dampening vibration out of your hands and you can ride longer with less fatigue. So there's little bits and pieces that matter. Some people eventually do feel the difference and they need it. They need to know that they have that mid-stroke support. You start to see all these repetitive mountain bike terms as you look through forums and stuff, but to some people, they feel that and they know the difference and they need that after a while. Once you've gotten your ride to a certain level, you just don't feel as confident if you don't trust your equipment. They know how this stuff operates, they know how to tune it, how to change it, what it's going to feel like versus a component that doesn't have as much custom tunability to it.
I think that's a great way you just put. That's why I like to come out here and talk to people who actually own these bikes, sell these bikes, because you just brought up a perspective that I never thought about. Because yeah, you're right. We got a mountain right there where it's gnarly riding and you want to be able to ride something you trust. And then you got professionals, like you said, that take this just as serious as they do their careers and families. And I think that's a great way to look at it. I never looked at it that way, to be honest. If you can think about it and digest that, it makes a lot of sense. Just like I said with camera stuff, there's cameras that'll get the job done, but I won't use it because I know if I get in certain situations, it'll fail on me. That's why I wanted to be able to come in here and talk to you about this, because I think it's great to get that perspective. What you just said, it just grounded me a lot, because I was like, oh, these things, they do the same thing as everything else. But once you hear it from somebody else's perspective and you actually think about what that person is saying, it makes a lot of sense. All right, we just got it from the man himself who sells pivots. These bikes are awesome. It's great benefits to having premium bikes. I'm just not good enough to know what any of that stuff means, so I'm good with just a normal bike. But it's awesome to hear their perspective on why they ride the bikes that they ride, because I think we all spend money differently, and it's never a bad thing to spend a lot of money on a bike. So I want to say thanks to Kevin for having me out here at Golden Bike Shop, checking out the shop, and I hope you got something valuable out of this video. To put the record straight, I don't hate expensive bikes. I just don't purchase them, and I don't promote them because I don't know enough about them. But I'm glad I was able to get some inside info from somebody who owns one and sells those bikes.